Hello, welcome to Switched On. My name's Paul, and today's What Is about the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Online that finally went live in the EU and UK overnight, it seems. So I know everybody's played these games before, but I thought we'd just have a quick look and see how they run, see how the whole thing works, take a look at a couple of the games, maybe some of the less popular ones. I imagine everybody's going to be jumping into Link to the Past and some of the Super Mario games. So here's the menu screen, very much like the NES menu screen. Now, a bit of an admission, I was never a big NES fan, never had one growing up. Never been a big fan of the games really, but I'm a sort of a SNES is my childhood, one of my big childhood memories growing up anyway. I loved my Super Nintendo here in the UK. So we're going to have a look at a couple of games. I remember, firstly, this one sort of jumped out at me, Stunt Race FX. This really jumped out at me when I was younger. I remember paying like £60 for Stunt Race FX, which, you know, nowadays, it's so strange. I mean, this would have been like, what, 15, 20 years ago? Probably more. I'm rubbish with time. I wonder if it does tell you actually when it was released. Doesn't. But I remember that hooter going off. 94, so yeah, 25 years ago. Scary to think that. But yeah, paid £60 for this game. And I remember at the time being really good. And then when I saw it on the Direct the other day, it looked awful. So, I don't know, I can't see many people playing this one. But let's have a quick look at it. At the time, this was like cutting edge. It was like, wow, it's got the Super FX chip. Put your name in. Oh. Yeah, I need a D-pad. I'm probably going to pick up the SNES controllers, but I don't know where from because in the UK here, they're £26.99 for one SNES controller, which I thought was fine. Not got too much of a problem with that. And then it was like £6.75 shipping. It's like, why is it costing £7, which is practically, you know, like getting on for $10 to ship a small controller? Ridiculous. So I'll be looking out for elsewhere for these. I mean, look how slow this is. But literally at the time, it was like, this is cutting edge. Oh, and that button goes backwards. Oh, this is pretty awful. I mean, can you imagine? £60. And then thinking it was cutting edge. Gee whiz. It's hard to even make out what's going on. Wow. So, not a good first impression for Super Nintendo Online. I mean, you know, I'm not expecting brilliant graphics, and that's not what these games are about, but, you know, it's more frame rate. The frame rate here looks sort of in the teens. And the resolution's so low, it's very hard to make out what's going on. So, there is a quick look at that. We've got some of the features, same features that were in the NES version. So we've got ZLZR, take you to a suspend menu, and you can, very, very clever. I mean, it must be really intensive, but, you know, it saves multiple save points, and you can just rewind, click the button, and carry on from that save point, which is, you know, is brilliant. Really like that feature. And it also means that, you know, you can save and come back to it. So that was Stunt Race FX. As I say, I will look at some of the better games shortly, but I'm going to be taking a look at mainly the games that other people probably won't dive into straight away anyway. So we can create a suspend point, load a previous suspend point, or we can continue, but we're going to go back to the game selection if we can. Press the right button. Another game that really interested me, I'm sure I had it growing up, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Loved this at the arcade. Probably had it on like every system it's ever come out on. Let's have a quick look how it runs on the SNES emulation here. Now I'm going to call it SNES. I believe Americans are not too familiar with calling the system, the SNES. Favouring more the Super Nintendo, but around my way, we called it the SNES. There is one particular game on the Super Nintendo that we played for absolutely hours, and that's International Superstar Soccer. If they could bring that to these collection of games, then I would be so happy. Yeah, this would have been great at the time. I mean, it's still Super Ghouls and Ghosts is a classic game anyway. But imagine, having this, being a big fan of it in the arcade, and then having I wouldn't say it's a arcade perfect conversion, but certainly good enough and looks great. Runs pretty smooth. I always remember that the Super Nintendo games were like so expensive. As we were saying about stunt race effects, you look comparatively to nowadays. Games nowadays are probably not as expensive as the Super Nintendo games were at the time, and people complain about the price of games these days. Oh, God, I sound like an old man, don't I? Price in my day was so much cheaper. But it's true. They were like, most of the games on the Super Nintendo were £60 in the UK, which must have been like, $80 in America at the time, maybe. Yeah, a bit of slowdown now. I can't remember the original games if these are exact emulations. Oh, did exactly the same thing. So that's Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Another game I remember being super fond of, and again, was a £60 game. Super Tennis. I don't know how this one holds up, but I remember it at the time being one of the best tennis games around. And again, maybe rose-tinted glasses, but I have fond memories of this one. 91! Oh dear, nearly 30 years. Almost. Awful. Where does the time go? Great names here as well. Steve, Mark, Rob, and then Maya. Who the hell calls their child Maya? Sorry if you are called Maya. Or Maya. I don't know. Let's go with Matt. Face off against that. We've given him enough stick. Look at him! Dark glasses. Looks like a right dude. So, Maya versus Matt. Play. Oh, there's a drop shot from Maya. Oh, come on. Really? Double fault? Well, we'll take Maya's serve and then we'll have a look at next thing. Has he got a ponytail? Play. Ball just dies on this grass. It's got no bounce whatsoever. Oh, we had the perfect chance to put him away. Be nice to win a point before we move on to the next game. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. But still, I think with a bit of practice getting back into this, you'd find an enjoyable game here, especially with the online. It'd be nice to try the online side. Some of these games, imagine playing like Mario Kart online or this tennis game online. So, pretty unsuccessful there. 0 points. So let's have a quick look, see if there's anything else. Demon's Crest is a game that a lot of people talk about as being one that they were surprised was coming to the system. I only know this by reputation and name. Sort of when people talk about classic SNES games, Demon's Crest seems to pop up. I believe it's not a direct sequel to Ghouls and Ghosts, but very similar sort of gameplay. So I'm going to have a very quick go at this, and then we'll finish off with some of the more well-known, bigger games. But I mean, just generally overall, it was more or less expected that the SNES games were coming in this direction, but it was nice to get confirmation. We've wanted these for so long. I don't know what I'm meant to do with this dragon. Run. This is one of those things where you're not expected to win, and then a reborn. Yeah, so the SNES games coming to the Switch. Excellent stuff. 20 games launching with. I don't think people quite expected that, and certainly not the quality of games that were launched. Let's have a look at some of those bigger ones in a moment. So you can fly. So I mean, it kind of feels like we need to I don't know, we don't seem to be able to beat this person. Well, I imagine paying £60 and getting stuck like this. Probably back in the day, kids knew what to do, but I've not got time for that. Earth Defense Force, considered probably the weakest game in the package. Breath of Fire is another one of those that is quite interesting. But let's have a look at that actually. Also, I had a quick look at the online play. I don't know if this was the same with the NES Classics, so I didn't really, I had a very, very quick flick around them when they were released last year. But the online on here, you can only play with friends, is that right? It sort of brings up your friends list who's currently playing the SNES Classic games, and you can join them in a game. So, Breath of Fire, this is by Square, before they became Square Enix, I believe. So I'm expecting something approaching an RPG. Again, a game that I know by reputation don't know how we're going to get past this. Okay, game start. There's some pretty decent RPGs on the SNES. So yeah, this is like a classic sort of 16-bit RPG. Sort of game that wouldn't look out of place nowadays. Their sort of art style that's very popular nowadays. Yeah, it looks really nice. I'm really digging the artwork. As I say, this sort of thing that you'd pick up nowadays. It's the Secret of Mana collection that was released. Trials of Mana coming out. But yeah, if you like this sort of retro, it's weird to call it retro because it is literally the the game as it was at the time. But if you like these retro RPGs, this definitely could be one to look into. Don't really know what to do there, but that's a quick look at that one. So what else we got? Let's have a look in some of the bigger games. Now, this was a game that people have been crying out for a remake, crying out for a port or a remaster or anything. Just FZero is every direct. FZero is on a lot of fans' lips, and it's finally here on the Switch, albeit not a remaster, of course, but the original game. Again, a game that I'm never had on the SNES. I've played it over the years, of course, on emulators and different things, but I've not got the sort of fever that everybody has for F-Zero. I haven't got that nostalgia necessarily. I believe what I played of it is a good game. Would have been amazing at the time. I can see why people love the game. Definitely. Again, it'd be interesting if you could play this one online with your friends. That'd be really cool. Not sure if it had multiplayer. Go back and check in a sec. But yeah, it shifts at a nice pace. I love the idea in F-Zero of like the pit lane to restore your energy, and it's something that I'd love to see in like a modern game, and it's something that I suggested to the developers of Xeno Racer, because it sort of felt like a bit of took a bit of inspiration from F-Zero, and I just mentioned that because you've got an energy bar in that, when you hit other vehicles, hit the side, you lose energy, and when you lose all your energy, you explode. But it would be great to have this like pit lane system where you can sort of duck in, and it becomes a little bit strategic. It could slow you down. I don't know if it did slow you down in F-Zero, but it'd be great if you could duck in the pit lane, slowed you down ever so slightly, with the offset being that you've got your energy replaced. So it could become like a strategic decision, like can you make it one more lap with 5% of your energy, or do you duck into the pits for 3 seconds and get some restore? But yeah, I'd like to see that in a modern racing game. We've got a boost. Forgot about that. Puts us up into first place. Woohoo! Yeesh. So now, it does look like it does slow down a bit going in the pit lane, but I'd like to see a little bit more of a penalty for going in the pits. Just finish this lap, and then we'll move on. But yeah, this runs really nicely. Obviously, I'm not expecting too many problems with these SNES emulations. Take first place. Actually win a game. So, runs really nicely like that. We're going to just have a quick look, see if this one did have multiplayer. Doesn't look like it. So I'm not sure how that would work with the online side of things. Now, Pilot Wings is a game that I certainly did have growing up. And again, one that I've played ongoing over the years. A game that a lot of people like to see sort of brought back for the Switch in like a modern style. There is a game on the Switch actually that's kind of like Pilot Wings. I can't remember what it's called. It might be called Air Wings or something very suspiciously similar to Pilot Wings. Obviously not as good. But again, at the time, this looks a bit ropey. Now, the graphics look very blurry straight off the bat. But it's a classic game, isn't it? Weird, because there wasn't much gameplay, really. It wasn't a game that you could hang your hat on and spend hours and hours playing. Obviously, you'd perfect the disciplines, but there isn't much here to keep you playing. And again, for £60, it was quite a big ask for kids at the time to pay out. Down you go, son. So Pilot Wings, a lot of people know that. As I say, the graphics on the plane there look a lot blurrier than I remember. That's fine. What else have we got done? FZero, Pilot Wings. Kirby, I was never a massive fan of. Joe and Mac, obviously. One of the more obscure games. I will have a quick look at Super Soccer for all my UK members. Very quick look though, because I know this won't interest everybody. I can't remember Super Soccer, to be honest. I probably had it. If it's a football game on a video game system, then I probably have had it. It's a good old-fashioned England versus the USA. Yeah, it's not ringing any bells, this one, to be honest. So International Superstar Soccer was a game I had. So this looks like it uses the Super FX chip, possibly. The way it sort of rotates and scales. But yeah, this isn't certainly not one that I remember playing, which is quite odd, because I would have picked it up unless it was I mean, it doesn't seem to be a particularly good game, so whether I looked at reviews at the time and realised it wasn't worth the money. Go! As the keeper stands there, perfect. So yeah, that's Super Soccer, probably not one that I'll come back to. Right, let's get into the good stuff. Last 3 games that I want to look at. Everybody knows Super Mario Kart. So we're not going to do too much. Just have a little quick look. Get the old nostalgia pangs ringing. Will be Mario, because why not? Now, I played this a little while ago. I don't know if it was on somebody's SNES Classic. But I do remember playing it and thinking like, ooh, that looks rough. Now, straight again off the back here, I don't know if you can see that on Mario, as he's sort of vibrating a little bit. It looks really, really smudgy. I don't remember that happening on the original game. But like, almost like he's vibrating so much that it's like just blurring. Looks really rubbish, to be honest. So that's quite interesting. Not used to these Mode 7 games. Super FX chip in full effect. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you remember Mario looking like this in the original Mario Kart. Oh, forgetting me hops, aren't I? Yeah, because it looks pretty rough, to be honest. It's amazing when you play this game originally. I mean, obviously very different times, and it would have been cool, I suppose, at the time. Can't really remember that far back. But amazing this game went on to become the phenomenon it did. Fun enough game, and I guess it was different to most things at the time. I guess that's the point. Kind of tired of these kart races now. Even the Mario Kart Deluxe 8 on the Switch I've not played for an age, although it is a game I do enjoy. Yeah, I don't think the original obviously stands up now to the newer versions. But there we go. Weird, possibly weird emulation on that one, on the Mario graphic. Quite surprising. Let's have a look at Starfox. Now this is another game that I think people look back with rose-tinted glasses. And again, for the time, probably like nothing else we've ever had. But I'm not sure it holds up today. it's training. But I do remember this also being a game I had at the time. I suppose actually, on I mean, it doesn't look the best, and the frame rate, like these Super FX games, tended to be down in the toilet. But shifts around nice enough. Man, just realising how I'm using the D-pad, by the way. On I've got a controller that I must get a review out of. But it's got a proper D-pad on it. Quite a nice D-pad actually. But it's amazing how you would have to have used a D-pad for almost like a flying simulator game like this. But hey, those are the problems we had to deal with as children. Ah! One of these buttons is a boost. There you go. So yeah, I mean, this, it does look a bit low in the frames per second. But then at the same time, the movement of the craft looked quite nice. So, I don't know. The best Starfox game around anyway is Starlink on the Switch. If you haven't got that. I'm trying to stay in formation. There we go. Stop, mate. If you stop moving, I'd stay in formation. Anyway, that's Starfox. Emulation seems a little bit better on that than it does on Mario Kart. Did want to have a look at Super Mario World as well, so we'll just have a quick look at that before we get to Link to the Past. 1990. Gee whiz. Ah, get off. I think I might have got Mario Land with my SNES at the time. It was like a pack that they did in the UK. I assume they must have done it worldwide. It's such a popular game. But yeah, I can't remember what other game I got with it. Unless it might have been Mario All Stars actually. Well, that wasn't the smartest move, was it? To jump into a bullet bill. Have one more quick go. Oh my god. Oh, that was lucky. Yeah, did exactly the same thing. Always check the pipes. Always check your pipes, kids. Can we do the butt stomp here? Butt stomp wasn't a thing at the time? Come on. Seriously? Yeah, pick up the shell. I've been bullet billed. So yeah, this is I don't know, I guess if you're, I mean, I'm not the world's biggest Mario fan. Whisper it quietly. So again, these sort of classic Mario games don't hold quite the nostalgia for me that they will do for a lot of people. But yeah, it seems good enough. Emulation wise, seems to run okay. Oh, so close to the end. Stupid frog. Yeah, I can't remember if I had Super Mario World or Mario All Stars. Forgot as well, Metroid. Let's have a quick look at Metroid. Another game that was quite surprising not to get picked up in the Direct. I kind of was quite high on a Metroid trilogy game coming out on the Switch. Obviously, Metroid Prime 4 is a long way off. Restarted the development on that one. It's weird when you play these SNES games. A lot of them have these introductions and little cutscenes at the start that aren't skippable. Well, we were going to play Metroid, but that was yakking on with like loads of cutscene, and the battery on my laptop's about to die. So, I just wanted, before I end this video, just quickly get to A Link to the Past. Obviously, one of the best games ever released, and it's great to have it here on the Switch. Obviously, we've got Link's Awakening coming soon. This sort of 2D-ish overhead style Zelda games, always popular. And like Metroid before it, I'll try and be a bit more patient with this one, but like Metroid before it, you kind of got this unskippable story. I'm just saying how it's weird. These old games had these like pretty much unskippable intros. Where nowadays, you know, you kind of have a bit of quality of life. You can skip these sort of things. But anyway, here we go. So, the most iconic jingles in gaming. Again, imagine getting this at the time. What an amazing game this must have been, getting it at the time. It wasn't one that I picked up. I got into the Zelda series very late. I mean, I would say Breath of the Wild was probably one of the first Zelda games that I played properly, which is quite amazing, I know. But that's the way it is. It's like weird sort of scrolling screen system. But yeah, just think, imagine like this back in the day, picking this up. I don't know how many hours Link to the Past is, but you know, however many hours it is, Zelda games are always epic. And probably an age without any, you know, game facts or wikis or walkthroughs. You just had to man up and get through it yourself. Not making a good fist of this. So I've not played this one much at all. I need my sword. Ah, and now I can't pick things up. But I mean, the emulation on this, what I know looks great. Performs nicely. Just really gets me hyped for Link's Awakening. Coming out in a few weeks. Leave me a comment below if you're picking that up, if you're looking forward to Link's Awakening. I've got the special edition ordered. The boxed one, so hopefully going to be doing an unboxing. But I'm not getting very far with this one, am I? So apologies for my rubbish gameplay. But hopefully it showcased enough of these Super Nintendo games for you. I mean, you know, they're free, so if you've got Nintendo Online, you'll be picking these up yourself, I'm sure, and giving them a test out yourself. But I thought I'd just showcase some of the lesser games, like in the early part of this video, that maybe people wouldn't necessarily know much about on the system. I'm not going to find this hidden path anytime soon, are we? But hope you enjoyed the video and enjoy these SNES games. Should be available worldwide now. Bit of a delay on the UK ones, but I think they've been out in America for a little while, and Japan. But yeah, really good to have them on. Looking forward to seeing what other ones come along over the coming months. What Nintendo decide to give us. There's plenty of classic SNES games that could be coming. But until then, I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, have a good day. I'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye bye.